Joining us now is the person who wrote that letter, Democratic Congressman and ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Adam Smith. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning. As you say, as I read what you said, what I'm also thinking about is how the president has talked about this. And the way he's talked about it is as a business acquisition, right? Like, he's not talking about it as what military experts and all of us who have studied history see it as, which is like a haphazard regime change where you take the leader but don't get rid of the rest of the regime. And instead, he is talking about it as oil, as this, we are taking back what they took from us. We're only going to get rid of the CEO, so to speak, and then the rest of the company, we will run it, right? And I wonder what you think about that and how the idea of running foreign policy as like he's running the Trump Inc. of it all.
Yeah, well, two things. First of all, the Secretary Rubio is completely wrong. This didn't have much to do with sort of enforcing the law at the Justice Department. This was a regime change operation. And now they use the excuse that Maduro was indicted, but as we all know, the Honduran president, who was convicted, they went ahead and pardoned. This was about regime change. This was about changing the power in Venezuela. And why? And that gets to the question you just asked. I think you have to believe that if Maduro, like a week ago, had called Trump up and said, let's make a deal, I'll let your oil companies in. You know, I'll let them go in and start, you know, drilling for oil in Venezuela again. I think Trump would have been perfectly okay with Maduro. And he's made that clear in his press conference. That's what this is about. He wants access to the oil in Venezuela, which is basically the United States saying, because we are strong and powerful, we will take over a country that has a resource that we want. And that is completely wrong on a whole series of levels. But Trump has made it very clear that that is what this is about. And understand the history here. Until about 1976, that's sort of the way Venezuela was run. The Venezuelan president, in a whole series of corrupt deals, worked with foreign oil companies so that, you know, he and his, you know, supporters made money and the oil companies made money and the Venezuelan people got screwed. And then in 1976, they finally changed that. And that's what Trump is upset about. He wants back control of Venezuelans' oil. Now, I could go down a whole bunch of different roads as to why that's horrible foreign policy. But let's stop kidding ourselves about what it's about. Trump wants greater control of Venezuela so that U.S. companies and presumably probably his family and his cronies can exploit those resources and make money. That's what this is about.
Right. And so then, Congressman, how successful will they be at this greater control if all they've done is, in this effort at regime change,
This means that our veterans and their families are now at higher risk of getting cancer. It also means that all of us are at higher risk of getting cancer because they're never going to degrade on their own, and so it will eventually get into our water supply and air. Number 5.
What do we do? Because that's very complex. We don't want to get into nation building. We'd like to just have someone step in who's Venezuelan and make it into a democracy. But
South Florida Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz does not believe that gets Venezuela on the road back to democracy.
To add And President Trump is giving that opportunity. And with Maduro being gone, it allows the people to choose. And I think they will choose correctly. That's why